Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AM Impact on Your Health. AM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AM Impact on Your Health is heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Well, folks, today we just launched a new era around here in Western Pennsylvania. So proud to be able to be affiliated with bringing to you treatments as I get exposed to them that I think hold great promise. There's no treatment came by me in the last decade that brings the promise that this particular treatment does. It's really announced to us by people that we've come to really appreciate, like Dr. Jerry Tennant. But today, we launched what we're going to call Microcurrent Mondays. We're with a young lady from Jacksonville, Florida. She's an expert and go-to resource on microcurrent therapy. We call that FSM. We're going to let her, Shannon Goosen, tell you all about it today. Shannon is our guest today, old friend that she is, but man, is this woman clocked pretty high when it comes to understanding and explaining FSM, frequency-specific microcurrent, that new era being launched today. And each and every month, we'll have another installment in what we will affectionately refer to as Microcurrent Monday. We'll get with Shannon right after that first break and chart our course on a very pleasant journey starting today. Now, looking at the way things are going to shape up from this point forward, on Wednesday, I leave and head on to Albuquerque, New Mexico, for a conference on LDA. It's that biennial event where all the disciples of one Dr. William Butch Schrader meet up. 1 year it's on the East Coast, 2 years later it's on the West. This time Albuquerque is where we're dialing it up. I'll bring back with you a lot of information on the new inroads to LDA. Of course, that stands for low dose antigen. And we launched that program here back in November of 2012. It has been a very successful program. There are new things to learn about it. I'll report back to you on my return. Now, of course, have to bring to you some repeat shows, and there'll be nothing more appropriate than the two shows that I've selected. After today's encounter with Shannon, I feel it's only appropriate that we bring back Dr. Jerry Tennant. He's caused quite a splash around here with the two shows. Healing is voltage, or voltage is healing. I don't know if I got it backwards or forwards, but Jerry has it right. And he's going to be a repeat show on Wednesday for Jerry Tennant 1, and on Friday for Jerry Tennant 2. You've requested it. You keep asking about Jerry, and we'll repeat those shows. It will lay great groundwork for what's going to be happening up and coming in the microcurrent realm. Now, we've got Beresha tastings. They're all over the place. I just had an impromptu tasting this past Saturday with Patty Szymanski out there with the TLS group at the Tyson Chiropractic Center that's called South Point Chiropractic. And I had a chance to meet those people who are participating in the weight loss / carbohydrate control group. I think it was their 4th meeting. I enjoyed having a chance to address them. They enjoyed having the opportunity to taste the Beresha line, fitting really right in to what the goals and objectives were that they were trying to accomplish. So now here are the Beresha tasting as I know them for today. Don't know how to report out how things went yesterday out there at the Paint the Town Pink up in Newcastle from 1 to 4. I will find out and report back to you. The next tasting this Thursday night at the Carnegie Public Library of Mount Washington, 6:30. Faith Dologowski is going to be there talking about gardening time. That's THYME. Nice play on words. But while speaking, she'll have the opportunity to allow you to taste the coffee, the tea, as well as the lemonade, and try that sweetener. That's this Thursday, 6:30 on Mount Washington. If that's near to you, that's great. Then at the end of the month, the 31st and the 1st of November, 31st of October, 1st of November, Beresha is going to be out there and available at Dr. Dan Wagner's Nutra Pharmacy, 2506 Wildwood Road. He'll be out there with 2 days worth of events and tasting, so that you have an opportunity in your backyard up there in the North Hills to give these products a try. I think once you do, you too will become a member of the Beresha family, and you won't want to be without them. I really enjoyed the testimonial we got from Dave. Dave Fish called on Friday. I don't know if you caught it, but he was saying how he was on a great weight loss journey, and then he got hung up. He just didn't seem to be able to make it over a certain hump. And then he claims, and when Dave Fish speaks, most everybody else listens, he claims that by taking the coffee for only, 3 cups a week for 2 weeks, it got him over the hump. Remember, it's thermogenic. You burn fat with that stuff, and you don't even know that you're doing it. But he got and dropped the other 6 pounds. He was so elated about it. He shared that with us on Friday. You can re-listen to the show if you want to hear him give his personal testimonial on it. Then when we turn the page, it looks like the next event won't be until out in November 7th. That'll be held in Chicago. More on that when I return. Other things I want to discuss with you. If you have an eye issue, especially if it's a retinal issue, and especially the most common ones to be found would be macular degeneration or glaucoma or diabetic retinopathy. These 3 retinal diseases are what we specialize in, really. Through the work of Dr. Edward Conrad, we have put together 3-day treatment programs to get these diseases reversed, when in fact in the conventional world there is absolutely no treatment program. There's no way of turning these things around. You unfortunately will be told by your very intelligent ophthalmologist that nothing can be done, and what a blow that must be. Well, we're here to tell you absolutely something can be done, and it can get done in as little as 3 days as we get these programs to you. The next one is we're going to hold is going to be in November 17, 18, and 19. November 17, 18, and 19. If you want to be a part of it, or at least learn more about it, it's a free seminar, a free eye seminar on October 28th, 5:30 in my office. Just come on along, bring whoever you'd like to. If you know somebody that needs the help and you just don't know how to explain what we do, it may be difficult for you, but it's pretty easy for us. Please, just get them here, 5:30 on October 28th. For about an hour, we'll have a chance to explain that program and give them the opportunity to ask whatever questions they may want to ask to get it clear in their mind. So the next treatment seminar, 3 days, 17, 18, and 19 November, in preparation for it. If you think you'd like to find out more about it, give us a call here to reserve a seat. The number 724-942-3002, and talk to either Kim or Sister Sarah and reserve that slot. I'll be looking forward to seeing you on the 28th to discuss it. Should also mention ozone. A lot of folks continue to ask about the shows we've done with Dr. Frank Schallenberger. You can get those shows free by going to the archives at djcmd.com or dennisjcourtney.com. Click on archives. You're taken to the YouTube where it's a repository for all of my shows. And then type in the search engine Courtney/Schallenberger/ozone. You'll get them free there, but people have said, you know what? I want to play them in my car. I want to take them while I'm out running and jogging. So we have them on disc. If you want a disc for those shows, give us a call here. Talk to Kim, 724-942-3002. A nominal fee, $5 we'll charge you for the disc, and we'll send it out to you. And then you'll have a copy of the shows as we did them back in January, February, and April of 2014. Look forward to being able to reacquaint you with them. Okay, let's do this. I'm very anxious to get to our guest today. You're going to find her intriguing and really smart. It's one thing about Shannon I remember. She's smart as a whip. And she's able to explain this difficult concept to many on microcurrent therapy. We call it FSM. We're with our first Microcurrent Monday and Shannon Goosen on our return. Be right back. Good morning. Impact on your health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on the Monday morning version of the show. And in anticipation of this show, believe you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really excited with our guest today, about our guest today. I've known her for such a long time, and she's been a brilliant addition to the medical realm for a lot of years. But as I find out in the last couple of weeks, in a new realm, one that has really intrigued me, this lady has excelled. Now, she is by training an original trigger point myotherapist, and I mean original, but has evolved to include so many other things in her practice. And the one thing that we're going to be talking about that she uses so much of is microcurrent. I'm going to let her tell you how that all takes place. Anyway, the queen of myofascial disease in Jacksonville, Florida, her name is Shannon Goosen. She's our guest today. Shannon, good morning and welcome aboard.
Good morning, Dennis. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
This was an absolute must, especially with the events as they've unfolded over the last few weeks. Our story goes way back, and I'm sure you may tell some of it, but most recently, because of our encounter in St. Petersburg, Florida a few weeks ago, we've charted a new path, and we're starting that path today. It all involves something called, well, FSM, or frequency-specific microcurrent therapy. I don't know how it's going to end up that we actually continue to call it. But could you please, Shannon, as I'd like to get our listeners familiar with you, tell a little bit about your story, your background, how it is that you had the beginnings and rudimentary start up in the medical world, and to how that's evolved to include FSM today. Go, take it away, Shannon.
Dennis, thank you. Well, first and foremost, Dennis, I want to remind you that you are instrumental in how I am here today, because you and I met way back in either 1991 or 92.
Well, that far back, so I know.
We go way back. And at that time, I had great hopes for a wonderful future, but I had some serious injuries and found myself on disability. And sadly, the medical field as it was did not give me much hope of having much of a future. And you magically showed up in my life, perfect timing, and I was trying to put things back together. And Dennis, that's when you introduced me to the concept of myofascial pain and dysfunction. And if you remember, at that time, there really wasn't very much written about it. it was the two, what we call red Bibles, from Janet Travell and David Simons. And you took me on that amazing journey and opened up my eyes that there was so much more to medicine, health, and healing, and so much was being overlooked. Well, that was the beginning, Dennis, for me getting on a path to examine all things in medicine that seem to have gotten overlooked in the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years. So I completed my training in Jacksonville, Florida to be a licensed massage therapist in order to be able to work with patients. And if you remember, we actually organized a training in Jacksonville to complete the myofascial trigger point therapy training. So it wasn't too long after that that I had my own private practice, and I was introduced to so many different forms of energy medicine. And by 1999, which was not too long after that, Shirley Hartman, who's a local physician here in Jacksonville that does functional medicine, introduced me to the concept of frequency-specific microcurrent. This was re-emerging. And Dennis, I say re-emerging because microcurrent therapy had been around for a very, very long time, decades. And in many other forms, even at the turn of the century, using electrical current and magnetism was state-of-the-art medical care. And this was now re-emerging. It fell out of vogue because people couldn't feel the current, they didn't know what was happening. And so even though physical therapists had implemented it way back in the 70s and 80s, people hadn't used it much. Well, Carolyn McMakin did rediscover some frequencies when she got a what we call blue box, which is a 2-channel microcurrent generator, and her intention was actually to use that for aesthetics because microcurrent works amazingly well for the skin and reducing wrinkles and improving the appearance of the skin. What she found out, though, was that it works fantastically well on myofascial trigger points. So fast forward, Shirley Hartman and I start hosting seminars in Jacksonville, and I get on the path of understanding frequency medicine. And it was a very, very long path, and I ultimately became an instructor on the East Coast. What happened to me on that journey, Dennis, was wellness. My life transformed. I had so many things that I had to deal with because of my injuries and my disabilities. And what I can tell you is at 51, I feel better than I did in my 20s. And it's been amazing. Yesterday, I got to go out on a 2.5-mile run. And I had no aches and pains in my body. My mind is sharp. I have energy. And everyone has the opportunity to have a better state of wellness by moving into the realm of working with energy medicine and specifically microcurrent. The frequencies are phenomenal for every condition you could ever think of. We actually have a saying when someone walks in and says, you know what, Doc, it's really funny, you fill in the blank, whatever the symptom is, and the answer back is, you know, we have a frequency for that.
We have a frequency for that. Hold that thought, we have a frequency for that. It's just so, makes me feel so good that your health has literally been restored, but you had to put it back together. And because you weren't being helped by many in the medical profession at that time, I was one of the first to come along and get you started. But you've taken off, young lady, and you're now quite an expert for others, but you're an expert for yourself. And I'm happy to hear you made that 2-mile or 2-hour run. Did you call it
2.5 miles yesterday.
2.5 miles yesterday. And having seen you just a couple weeks ago, you're looking wonderful, and get that feeling. You're feeling as wonderful as you look. And at least in part, if not a great part, microcurrent and FSM may be one of the reasons why you've achieved what you have today. Could you take, and because I know you have this knack, and for my listeners who are a little bleary-eyed right now, have heard a lot about, well, they've met by the airways Jerry Tennant, and you know what a powerful force he is. But I think that the explanation coming from you is one I'm anxiously waiting. How, one asks, do you describe what is FSM or what is microcurrent? How do you answer that question? I think my listeners would love to know.
The way that I explain it, to keep it simple, is to just go back and understand that we are electrical to begin with. So we consume food, we transfer that into energy in the form of ATP, and that powers our cells, and it powers our brain, and it powers our nervous system. And the reason to think and move and do what they want to do each day is because there are electrical currents running in their body that make your muscles work, that make your mind work, that make you have the opportunity to be able to speak and communicate. And so we are already those electrical beings. And microcurrent has the great advantage that the current comes through in millionths of an ampere. It's this really, really small current, and perfectly so, it's the same current that your body is operating on. So what we can say about it is it's physiologic, meaning when you put microcurrents into the body knows what to do with it because that's how it works already. So when we put these currents in, the body knows what to do with it. The curious part of it, Dennis, is that we've got specific frequencies for specific conditions and specific tissues. And if you know what the problem is in the tissue, or as I say, what's the issue in the tissue, we can actually match frequencies for what is happening for someone, and we call it resonance. Tissues get warm, and symptoms just go away. Now, for a lot of people, Dennis, that sounds like some kind of crazy magic that's possible. But guess what? If I said, Dennis, here's my keychain, and I want you to go find my car. Well, you already know that you could walk out to the parking lot and find it, because all you have to do is click the little button that says unlock. My car is going to make a beep, and the lights are going to go off. There might be thousands of cars in the parking lot, but you'll be able to find my car. Why? Because that clicker has a resonance signal specifically to my car.
Frequency specific, huh?
So we're all using this phenomena of resonance every day. A MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, is using specific frequency waves to resonate with specific tissues so that when you come out of that tube, you heard a lot of noise, but you didn't feel anything. When you come out, they're going to show you a beautiful image of the inside of your body. You'll be able to see the fat, the muscles, the soft tissue, the bones, the organs, the details of the brain. Now, how's that possible? It's possible because specific frequencies resonate with specific tissues. It happens in healing also when we use frequency medicine. So resonance is around us everywhere. Dennis, you and I are able to talk today because I am able to use a specific frequency to dial in, get to your phone number so you and I can talk. Does anybody think twice about it when they're on their cell phones, and there's millions and millions of cell phones, but your call actually gets to the person you want to talk to, even if you're calling them all the way around the other side of the globe? So we're using this concept of resonance. We are able to get specific frequencies that resonate with specific tissues and conditions, and we are able to resolve problems very, very quickly. We are able to help things heal very, very quickly. And there is a lot of science behind it. So there's many, many peer-reviewed papers that talk about the resonant effects of microcurrent. And when you use specific frequencies, specific things happen in one tissue, but not in another. So the science is coming along, and it does support this. And everybody just needs to know that they're still walking around and using resonance every day in their everyday life.
Shannon, would you say that maybe the reason why we really come into the realm of being able to have microcurrent utilized so openly and in so many cases is we finally have lowered and stepped down the current to the microcurrent level, that the earlier days had some pretty powerful currents, and that really won't be able to accomplish what the micro step-down version of the current is. Do you think that was a big issue, big hurdle?
It's very, very true, Dennis, and what we do know from some of the research that has been done, that it is suggested and observed in research that when we use pens, which is a much higher amount of current coming through, so that is the current that some of your listeners may have.
Those famous tens units.
Where you can feel it. It makes your muscles jump, and you can feel this kind of zappy feeling going into your body. It's actually activating your nerves beyond how they would normally be activated. You can feel it. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. More importantly, Dennis, with that is that when you use tens, the research suggests you actually interfere with energy production. So it actually reduces the increase in ATP in the body. It drains it out, and that's what we need to power our cells. Whereas microcurrent actually gives you free energy. It actually, we're going to say, gives you electrons, although no one's actually ever seen an electron. We use it theoretically to talk about energy. We actually put energy into the body. So when people are really, really depleted, we can actually get their power system working better.
All right. Let me ask you this question, Shannon. As exposed as you have been to the use of microcurrent for so many things, what kind of patient, or you may call client, have you found that microcurrent is the most beneficial in terms of your experience? Where has it helped the most?
Well, I'm going to just say right out loud, Dennis, which is going to surprise everybody, fibromyalgia. And one never would have thought that I would say, oh my gosh, I've got someone coming through the door. They've got pain in their feet, their hands, their knees, their hips, their necks, their shoulders. They hurt all over. This is going to be so easy. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to say that, but my first probably 2 years of really, really working with the frequencies, what happened for me is, I'm just going to say by the grace of God, I was sent a series of patients that had full body pain that nobody had been able to deal with. They had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Now, Dennis, I'm a myofascial pain expert. I'm looking for trigger points. I'm looking for referral patterns. That is what I know how to do, and I'm here to tell you, Dennis, for 2 years, I never saw anyone with myofascial pain that was primary. They all had fibromyalgia. I was actually starting to think that maybe there wasn't something called myofascial pain, that somehow something crazy had happened, and I was part of some crazy grand illusion, and it really wasn't there. What was happening is I was getting this great learning curve to find out that there is this frequency combination that works specifically for people that have this problem, especially if they've had a neck injury. And I was able to take people who had 7, 8, 9, 10 out of pain and take them down in less than 90 minutes to anywhere from a 0 to a 2 out of 10. And I did this over and over and over and over again. And these are the patients that are just so grateful. It is the most rewarding thing I have ever done to take these people that had lives that were just torn apart by chronic pain, and I can run this simple frequency combination, which Carolyn McMakin figured out. There is actually a peer-reviewed paper published on it, and I can get these people out of pain. And it is amazing what happens. And so who would think that I would say my easiest and my most gratifying to work with are these people that come in with this so-called diagnosis of fibromyalgia?
Well, that's saying quite a mouthful. Even my listeners probably appreciate the fact that fibromyalgia is pretty much a sentence to a lifetime of pain and discomfort as they know it, because once their doctors have finally got to the point where they really have given up, that's when the word fibromyalgia gets pronounced. And really, you're in a deep doo-doo situation from that point forward, because there's just nothing out there that's going to help you. Oddly enough, when I ask you what cases do you enjoy most and to respond the easiest to microcurrent, you pick a disease that I think my listeners have heard of. Unfortunately, maybe some of them have, but I think you have painted the picture that few words could paint, where you say, hey, so a patient walks in and they say they have fibromyalgia, and you say, that's just wonderful, and they look at you dumbfounded, don't they?
They do. Yes, and then they're even more dumbfounded when they stand up after being treated with this current. There's nothing I can do for them from a manual therapy standpoint at this point except make them worse. And so all I have to do is do my very, very long history and evaluation, which is always there because there's always the story behind the story. I can go after that pain that they have that is full body. Their feet hurt when they get up. It feels like they're on gravel. They have sausage fingers. They feel like they've got swelling in their hands, but it doesn't look like it. They think someone, it's this feeling like someone has a voodoo doll and they're just poking needles into you, and it's random places, and it's here one day and then over here and then over there, and then just never feeling well. And be able to put them on a table and run microcurrent from their neck to their feet, have them get up 70 minutes later and stand up and say, my feet don't hurt, my hands don't hurt, my pain's gone. How did you do that? Because I never touched them. I never did anything but my physical evaluation and did an exam on them and check their reflexes and did a sensory exam to have everything documented. We redo it. Their sensation has changed. They feel better. Their mind's clear. And it's such a joyous experience because these people now have hope. They have been basically told there's nothing we can do for you. We're going to put you on these drugs. Here's all the side effects of these drugs that you need to watch out for. You probably won't be able to do this. It's going to hurt, but go exercise. And on and on and on. And for these people to go, oh my gosh, there is a way that I can actually feel better, it's a game changer. Because now people are motivated to take back their health care. Now they're motivated to get on their side because they can be on their team and make a difference in what happens for the rest of their life.
But it really triggers a similar response in my own mind because in my case, with respect to microcurrent, here I've been over a year now working with these eye patients that come to me, and we treat a number of them each and every month. They come to me with diseases, retinal diseases, that they are told there is nothing that can be done. I mean, sort of the eye parallel to fibromyalgia. Nothing can be done, and they're very depressed. They're scared to death. They're losing their sight. And in 3 days, and I've become pretty greedy about this, in 3 days, I fully expect to get their vision turned around and their vision and eyes begin to be restored. Now, I show up in St. Petersburg Beach a couple of weeks ago for a conference on microcurrent, and I'm there to present my case on the eye. What happened in that particular weekend, Shannon, and I think you'll agree, is that you watched me realize that in that room, I was the only person that dealt with the eye. Everybody else in that room dealt with every other body part and disease other than eye disease. And it made me feel so empowered to realize what I should have intuitively known, but I didn't. And that was, hey, the kind of results that I get with the eye, these people in this room, they're getting with every other thing other than the eye. What a powerful therapy. And I've been smiling ever since, Shannon, but I think I've got the parallel going that makes me feel very comfortable about bringing microcurrent to my patients, bringing it to Western Pennsylvania. I know you're going to be instrumental in that, but you say bring on fibromyalgia, the case that every doctor dreads, because in 70 minutes you can get them pain-free. And I say bring on these terrible retinal problems that nobody can treat, because in 3 days their vision is going to be well on its way to being restored. These are miraculous. How wonderful is it to be involved with a miracle on a daily basis? I'll ask you.
I love my job. I love my job. I love my practice. Dennis, it is a gift that I get up and do what I do every day. It is such a gift. I am so privileged, and oh my gosh, we actually have a way that changed medicine, because as soon as your listeners tell their friends and tell other people, and we get more practitioners trained, everybody gets access and everybody has a way to make a positive change in their life and the people around them. And when everybody starts asking for this non-invasive, highly effective treatment, now we change medicine.
When it comes to people out there listening to us right now, I think the little side note that I'm going to make is, let's say for right now, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have fibromyalgia and your vision is 20/20. The message really needs to be, and I hope that as we do what we're going to call Microcurrent Mondays and an ongoing series, they'll come to appreciate that microcurrent therapy can be used for whatever their problem, whatever ails them and hasn't been able to be treated. You don't have to have fibromyalgia to benefit, or visual disturbances, because the issue with frequencies that come are able to correct what has gone wrong are universal. They work in all diseases. Is that a fair statement to make, Shannon?
Yes, there are a few exceptions, not a lot. And really, when I say there's those exceptions, it's just because we haven't maybe honed in on the frequencies yet. Overall, for just about everything that ails people, we have frequencies for that. So when I say there's a frequency for that, I mean it. And it is powerful in the hands of practitioners that are good diagnosticians that can figure things out and go back to good old-fashioned medicine, which is where you listen to your patient. Janet Terrell, who was your mentor and my mentor, reminded us the mystery is in the history, and believe your patient. Listen to your patient, believe your patient, take a good history, and if we can just go back to good old-fashioned medicine, where we get in rapport with our patients, where we hear their story, where we find out all the frequencies that you need to help someone are in their story. The patient will tell you everything that they need if you'll just listen to them. And they're there. And so it really, Dennis, it doesn't matter what it is, because I have treated everything from prostate cancer to bladder problems, to broken bones, to sprains, to healing after surgery, to chronic pain, chronic myofascial pain, problems with the joints, edema, swelling, metabolic issues, people that have had concussions. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. It's just endless. And there's never any fear for me when someone walks through the door and has something crazy that, there's 25 cases in the United States. Now, I've got one right now where someone has a condition like that. We're treating it. And there's frequencies to help with all of these conditions. And all you and I have to do, Dennis, is start getting these practitioners trained, get the word out, and allow people to have access.
I know that you and I plan to do just that. Jacksonville and Pittsburgh are very, very important dots on the map, I believe. They always were for you and I, but I think they're going to become the hubs of this kind of medicine that's going to be able to conquer and help so many people. And the things you said just a moment ago, I'm going to repeat because I think that they deserve merit, and that is the mysteries in the history that, let's just say fibromyalgia. Let's just use that as an example. Okay, so the disease has this one name, and that if you've been labeled with it, you've been a very unfortunate individual up to this point. However, you as the individual have life experiences have weighed in to make your fibromyalgia be unique to just you. It's not just fibromyalgia in the same two people. It's different. And the history and your life experiences make the need for the frequencies to be unique just to you. Have I got this down, Shannon? Is this a concept that I think I want to make certain that I have our listeners understand? You just can't do a standard, fibromyalgia, these are the frequencies, go. That won't work.
Not consistently. So you might get lucky, and it's simple and straightforward. However, you're correct, Dennis, in that, because as we know with functional medicine, and as you know, I'm a functional medicine practitioner as well, as we start changing medicine to that functional medicine idea, which is we're actually more interested in who the person is with the problem, and we want to go upstream to see what set everything in motion. And if you can go back far enough, and I go back to when people were in the uterus.
Intrauterine, yeah.
Yeah, even before that, I'm interested in mom and dad and your grandparents. I'm going way back on some of these folks. And if you can get the story, and sometimes we have to do things in order to joggle people's memory because we forget and move on in order to survive our lives. But we can joggle people's memory with humor or stories or whatever it takes to remind them, they start giving us pearls. The patient will eventually divulge to you, oh, I forgot when I was 3 years old, I was on the swing and I was trying to get to the top of the trees and I fell out of the swing and hit my head. There's where something may have started. Or I forgot to tell you, when I was 7 years old, I got this terrible infection and I was in the hospital for 2 weeks and I nearly died and nobody knew what was wrong with me. I had completely forgotten about that. So when we take the time to get the individual story of the person who has the whatever it is, to fill in the blank, it is in that story that we can go back and actually set the stage for the things that started triggering this chain of events in people's lives. And Dennis, that includes people's eye disease. You know, when you have eye disease, that is the canary in the coal mine in many situations because the vessels are so small. So there are things that tell us that there are things upstream lurking, and if we'll take the time to talk to our patients and get the whole story, they'll tell us what they need. And that is where we get the fantastic outcomes instead of just good outcomes.
So
I'll tell you, if anybody puts microcurrent on their body, for the most part, they're going to feel better, and it's going to help them because microcurrent in and of itself increases collagen production. It works on the ion channel gates in the body. It increases protein synthesis. So microcurrent in and of itself is beneficial to all living things.
But then whatever is unique to you can be tweaked with additional frequencies to make it personalized for you. And I think that's a take-home message. And so I'll leave the listeners understanding no matter what you're suffering from out there, no matter what it is, there is a frequency-specific microcurrent approach to that problem. Do not fear. There is help on the way, and it's coming quick. And through the help of Shannon and the guidance of Shannon and others, we hope to be able to bring that to you to Western Pennsylvania. That is our pledge. Now, I'm going to ask you a question because you momentarily referred to a couple of situations where microcurrent has had some pitfalls, that has not really been able to produce the results that maybe you thought you should get. And I'd ask you to share with us, have you found particular cases where the microcurrent just isn't able to do the job? You said, well, maybe I just still don't know what the frequencies are, but I'd be real interested in hearing what the difficulties are.
Well, I got to live through one of them, Dennis, because in my 10+ year journey, I think now for the last 4 years, I've been saying that I've been doing this 10 years. So I guess that's when I decided that I wasn't going to get any older. So it's been a while though. So what I can tell you is that when you get heavily involved in this, you start becoming your own experiment. So there's several things that I have done on myself to actually test the frequencies to see what happens. And fortunately or unfortunately, on July 4th, 2011, I woke up and I couldn't walk, Dennis. And the reason I couldn't walk is the balance apparatus inside my left ear, that we ultimately found out had a viral infection. And my nerve had demyelinated and no longer worked correctly. And so the balance apparatus in my ear, in my brain, no longer worked correctly, and I couldn't walk. And I had vertigo. And some of your listeners may know what vertigo is. They may have had it. I was terribly dizzy. And eventually, because I was so intent from my brain standpoint on figuring out where I was in space and time, I could no longer think. So I basically was operating as if I had had a stroke and lost part of my brain, because I literally could barely add 1 + 1, and I'm not exaggerating. There's plenty of people around me who had stories, and I had no memory. I couldn't hold anything in short-term memory. So we did not have a frequency, Dennis, for the vestibular nerve. So there was no way to directly treat the trauma that had happened to my nerve. So we didn't have a way to fix it. And I will tell you, there were people all over the United States that were rallying to try to figure out how they were going to help me, because I was so heavily involved in teaching and traveling, and I could not do anything. And nobody had frequency that was looking for that. What I can tell you, Dennis, is if I had not had the microcurrent and I wasn't using the frequencies, I would not have been able to stay so calm and okay with what was happening. So we were able to maintain the rest of my health, and I did not spiral down into permanent disability, which some thought was going to happen, that I was never going to get out of it. We were able to maintain me until I finally got to someone that could get my brain working the way that we needed it. And that's when we needed an interdisciplinary team. And I am all about having a full interdisciplinary team and people that are experts in areas that you're not, and using those frequencies for support, which is what we did. And it got me out of it. And I am probably 120% of what I was before that vestibular incident happened. And we've renamed it now my vestibular vacation, because I didn't work for about 6 months, and it would have been the only way I ever would have taken 6 months off. And I got to get on another vertical learning curve, so I really became incredibly knowledgeable about the vestibular system and what we need to do to intervene with that and use frequencies to support it. So that was a long answer for that example.
Why is everything so personal with you? I asked you a question. It's applicable to you, and this time on the bad side, but you did emerge. But having lived it, there's just a special tie to the way the microcurrent can work and difficulties it may have, because you've lived through it. Not many people can attest to the fact that they've had that kind of personal contact, and I'm sure it's made you all the stronger the clinician that you really are. And I think those that are treated by you are going to benefit from your own tribulations, when even as good as you were, microcurrent wasn't able to actually fix the problem. It helped associate a problem and got you through. Got the message loud and clear.
Yeah. And you're going to find practitioners everywhere have these stories. And the beautiful thing is we need to remember that even though we're the practitioners, we are the healthcare providers, we are living our lives also, and we also live through, we'll just say, bad things happening and crises. And so everybody really, Dennis, is in the same boat. So when you go in and see your healthcare professional, whether it's a physician, a surgeon, a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, a massage therapist, you can bet that they have lived through something. We're all in the same boat. We're all walking on the same planet and have to go through shared experiences, and things happen. We get injured, we get sick, there's illnesses, and it's really a great way to learn when you get to experience it firsthand, and you then can live into a place of such empathy with what people go through. So I am so grateful for every experience I've ever had, everything I've ever lived through, being on disability, being told, 30 years ago I'd never work again. I would never trade those experiences. It's the best school I ever got. I'm glad for it. I learned from it. And I'm able to really understand what people are going through, having been there in my particular journey.
Absolutely comes across loud and clear. Now, in terms of this, I'm going to ask you a question. You alluded a moment ago that somebody comes in with fibromyalgia, and 70 minutes later, they say, "My goodness, my pain is gone." But I'm going to question you on that's that one treatment. What is the length of time? How do you find that microcurrent has helped you accelerate the whole treatment phenomenon and put it in a compact form that allows you to get results, long-lasting results, in the shortest period of time possible? I guess that is my question. Do you understand it?
What I can say, Dennis, is that probably one of my, the shortest times to just get something handled completely was 2 or 3 visits. And then I have some other folks, because their injuries actually go back first. I have a couple of folks that actually had birth trauma, which set everything in motion. And those, we have all these other orthopedic issues that we need to deal with as well. And some injuries to mild injuries, spinal cord, mild brain injuries. And so those take a little bit longer. The difference is people have hope. They have a way to keep their pain incredibly low. And if they exacerbate or do the wrong thing to kick up all their pain again, they know there's going to be a way to get it down so they don't feel trapped. And so we have some cases where it's a really, really easy fix. My folks that have athletic injuries and myofascial stuff, and it's specific, they can't run. An hour later, they can run. We do the corrective exercises, and they're fine. And then there's other people where it's been a lifetime. We get their pain levels down. We can keep their pain levels down. And then we go in and we do that whole functional medicine side of it. And then we have to deal with all the orthopedic injuries. The difference is they're actually on a path and they're moving towards health, wellness, and restored vitality.
Well, I think maybe the take-home answer is there's never been any treatment I'm aware of, and I think you too, that has the ability to accelerate this treatment in such a compressed period of time other than microcurrent. I've never heard of such a thing. 2 and 3 visits this and 1 visit that.
And and now all of us and all of my colleagues that do this, we expect something to happen right now. When someone calls to make a new patient appointment with me, my receptionist will schedule 3 appointments because I have a 3-appointment rule. I give myself a little leeway that I might get it wrong on the first or second visit, and I'll say guess right from an educated guess if it's really complicated. But by the third appointment, I always know something, and I'm always going to make a difference. And if I can't make a difference in the 3 appointments, I've got to refer out immediately because there's something else completely different going on that I've never seen that I can't find. But all of us expect something really magical to happen within 3 appointments, and we expect those miracles. It's just, we just are dumbfounded if we don't get it because it works that fast. And that's the other thing. If it's not working, you've got the wrong frequencies because the frequencies work. And so that's one of the ways that we know that I'm just going to say guessed wrong, even though it's, there's an entire differential that goes with figuring out what's happening. And that's usually when we need to go back and get the story behind the story or what's going on. So,
right. I can tell you. Yeah, I can tell you that
working, you got the wrong frequency.
That thing you just answered the question with matches up to what I have been seeing with eyes. Like if somebody isn't improved dramatically in 3 days, I'm dumbfounded, and I know that does have difficulty with vision. So the corollary is, it doesn't matter what the party part, it doesn't matter what the disease, the speed with which you can get these turned around is equal in what I've seen with the eyes as well with every other part of the body if you just get the frequencies right. Shannon, that answers the question magnificently. Now look, we're ready to the gong, and rather than being interrupted in a rude way, we should set the stage for our next visit. You're going to be back with us next month. We've determined that we're going to be doing Microcurrent Mondays, and we're going to be talking about something called second call, an interesting concept. I'm not going to give it away right now, but it actually plays into this thing about early intervention in a way to prevent things from ever getting out of hand by those who are having trauma each and every day. Second call work in Jacksonville. You think it'll work for us here?
Absolutely. Needs to be everywhere.
All right. We will do that. Shannon, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. I look forward to reinitiating our wonderful relationship of over 20 years ago is when it all started, and we had a resurgence of it 2 weeks ago. I'm looking forward to bringing you to Pittsburgh. People in Pittsburgh want to meet you, Shannon, and we got great things to do with your help and our mutual guidance together. We'll drive this thing right to where we need to get it, Shannon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dennis. Fabulous.
All right, my dear. I'll be talking to you. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Shannon Goosen, the queen of myofascial disease in Jacksonville. She's the queen of everything now, folks. Anyway, I've got bongos in the background. It is that crescendo moment. It's on our way out of here. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Go back to it and hit the archives and listen to it again. I'm going to be out of town now for the rest of this week. See you in a week from today. Until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AM Impact on Your Health.